The evening settled over Sleepy Hollow with a weight that seemed older than time. The last threads of sunlight strangled by clouds that thickened across the valley. Calder drove in silence, his hands steady on the wheel, though his knuckles were pale and taut. Kevin, his assistant, shifted uneasily in the passenger seat, his phone glowing faintly in the gloom as he checked and rechecked messages with nervous persistence. The car wound along the narrow road, headlights slicing through patches of fog that curled low to the ground. The tree line pressed close, skeletal branches clawing at the air as if eager to block their passage. Calder's hollow eyes fixed on the road ahead, expression stiff with unspoken grief, his silence colder than the autumn air seeping through the vents. They passed the old Dutch church, its spire barely visible through the gathering mist, a sentinel of stone and shadow. The graveyard loomed beside it, crooked headstones jutting from the earth at odd angles, many swallowed halfway by creeping moss. Crows rose from the branches in a sudden frenzy, their wings beating a thunderous warning into the dusk. Kevin flinched at the sound, casting a quick glance at Calder, but the older man did not turn his head. His gaze remained forward, his mind locked in a prison neither the road nor his companion could breach. The car rolled on, tires crunching gravel, carrying them deeper into the hollow's waiting arms. The crane house appeared like an island of warmth in the fog, lanterns glowing faintly through lace curtains, the inn's wooden frame sturdy against the creeping night. Calder pulled into the gravel drive, the crunch beneath the tires loud in the silence. He shouldered his bag slowly, his movements heavy, every gesture speaking of exhaustion far older than the day's journey. Kevin followed reluctantly, eyes darting around as if he expected shadows to take form and chase them. At the door, Mrs. Crane greeted them, her smile polite but tinged with reserve, the kind of welcome that carried caution beneath courtesy. Beside her stood Lena, young and open-faced, her kind eyes soft in the lantern light. Unlike her mother, she offered warmth without hesitation, and with a quiet grace she ushered them inside. The parlor was lined with history, its walls adorned with black and white photographs, sketches of the town, and yellowed newspaper clippings that whispered of tragedies long past. Calder's eyes moved over the collection until they fixed on a framed photograph. It showed a younger Mrs. Crane beside her husband, their arms wrapped protectively around a toddler, Lena. They stood before the old Dutch church, smiling in a moment of frozen joy. In the man's hand glinted something small and round, faint but unmistakably coin, gleaming as if caught between light and shadow. Calder tilted his head, his voice breaking the silence. "Your husband." Mrs. Crane's smile faltered, her expression hardening. "He was," she said curtly, before turning away, leaving Calder awkward in his curiosity, staring at the coin that seemed to whisper from the glass. Lena approached soon after, her steps gentle, a tray of tea balanced carefully in her hands. She set it down on the low table, her eyes flicking toward the photos as if drawn to the same detail Calder had seen. Her voice was soft, her words carrying the weight of memory. "My daddy died when I was young," she said, almost in confession. "They told me it was a hiking accident. Truth is, I was too little to remember clearly, but it was the last time I ever saw my mother truly happy. Calder shifted uncomfortably, uncertain how to respond, his gaze falling again to the corner. Lena noticed the direction of his eyes, though her expression betrayed nothing, her silence wrapping the moment in a question that went unspoken. Dinner was served in a quiet dining room, where the air itself seemed heavy with restraint. Calder picked at his food without appetite, his mind miles away, every bite forced. Kevin, desperate to break the silence, turned his attention to Lena, asking about the town. She laughed lightly, though her words held a deeper note. Sleepy Hollow is a place of stories, she said. Some people think it's just folklore, but the older families, we have tradition, little rituals, just in case. She spoke casually, but her voice lingered in the air. The words weighted with meanings Kevin could not see. Calder's eyes, however, flickered in recognition, though he lowered them quickly to his untouched plate. When the meal ended, Kevin excused himself early, retreating to his room, while Calder lingered by the fire in the parlor. The flames crackled softly, the room bathed in orange glow, but to Calder the warmth offered no comfort. His gaze sank into the shifting embers, and slowly the sound of the fire distorted. The crackle became the snap of cables, the pop of strained metal, the groan of wood bending under weight. His chest tightened as memory surged the job site. His son's voice raised in anger, the argument sharp and final. He saw his son walking away, turning his back, then the sudden whip of a cable, the fall of a pallet, the sickening impact that silenced everything. Calder's hands shook, the glass in his grip trembling as the fire shaped itself into his son's face, eyes vacant and still. Then the eyes snapped open. The boy's mouth moved in the flames, and the words struck with venom.
"You killed me, Dad,"
Calder gasped, jerking upright, the firelight flickering back to its natural form. His chest heaved as though he had surfaced from drowning. The room was silent again, only the steady hiss of logs breaking into coals. He pressed a hand to his eyes, his breath ragged, knowing the memory would never loosen its hold. Mrs. Crane appeared at the doorway, her voice low, measured with the weight of observation.
"Mr. Calder,"
she said gently.
"it's late. Let me show you to your room."
He nodded stiffly, rising without a word, following her up the narrow staircase. The old wood creaked beneath their steps, each groan echoing in the silence of the house. She led him to a small room with lace curtains and a single lamp burning low, its glow steady but faint. He set down his bag, murmured thanks, and closed the door behind him, though sleep was far from his reach. Yet the night's silence was broken by movement outside. Through a narrow gap in the curtains, Calder caught sight of lantern light drifting through the mist. His eyes narrowed as he leaned closer, the image sharpening into two figures moving quietly among the headstones of the graveyard. Mrs. Crane and Lena carried a lantern between them, its glow soft against the fog. Calder's breath stilled as he watched Lena kneel at a grave, her hands placing something small and round against the stone. It glinted faintly a coin, familiar and unmistakable. Mrs. Crane bowed her head, lips moving in silent prayer. While Lena's expression hardened into solemnity beyond her years, Calder frowned, unsettled by what he had seen. The ritual was not for show, not a simple gesture of mourning. The air itself seemed to bend around their act, the fog deepening, the silence of the hollow listening. He let the curtain fall, retreating from the window. Yet the image clung to him, gnawing at the edge of thought. He lay awake long into the night, the whisper of coins and the thunder of hooves stirring faintly in his imagination. The hollow had not forgotten, and neither, it seemed, had those who lived in its shadow.